So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Thursday, December the 16th, 2021, and our call-in number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you in the queue to talk to us. And we would love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And while we're waiting on Michael to get on, I'll just let everybody know that a couple of things. One, the apps are complete and have been accepted by both Apple and Google. So if you haven't downloaded our app to your phone, it's a free download to either the iPhone or the Android. And it's HeartLand Aramaic Forgiveness. And it's got a glowing heart, and then once it opens, you'll see a picture of Michael and I. It's a free download, and it has expanded tremendously. It now has features where it's got, we had added, besides the two different wake-up sheets and the Dragon Klingon game, we had added the commitments, and then we added a section where you can go to our events page and see what all's going on, what's scheduled, a lot of things happening online. You can also go to there's a button that says more, and it takes you to a page where there's just lots and lots of information. The thing that we've added at the very top of that page is the Wellness Through Stillness free download of that MP3. And then there is a section where you can ask questions, and it doesn't matter what page you're on, what app, which of the applications of the app you're in. There will be a button on every page to ask a question, and that comes to my email, and we will respond back to your email and let you know what day of the week and what time of the show that we addressed your question, and send you back an email and let you know so that you can listen to the show. We'll address all of them anonymously on the radio show. But that way, if you're working on a worksheet and you come across a question, you can just pop it to us right then, and we can get back to you with that. So it's got a lot of new features, and so please, if you haven't downloaded the app, do. And if you have, then be sure to go out and make sure it's updated, and we'll be glad to hear your comments about that and get back to us. And then one other thing, and Michael, you might want to talk about the Coptic since you're now with us. I was just getting ready to mention that coming up.
Sure, if you've got the details in front of you, honey, if you want to go ahead. I don't have them in front of me.
Okay, it's on January the 8th and 9th. It's a 2-day conference, and it's the Coptic in Michigan. They do it every year, and it's just a really fabulous. They've got a lineup of 20 different speakers, and Michael is one of the speakers. He will be speaking on Saturday, the 8th at 3 o'clock. And a lot of you know Carrie Ellis. She's been on the show with us several times, and she's speaking right after Michael, and there's all kinds of other speakers, a lot of them that we've known. John Davis is head of the Coptic, and he's speaking, of course. But there's 20 different speakers on the 2 days, and the whole conference is only $25. And so I've put the registration button on our website. It's under events. It's also under news. If you click on the more button of your app, it's in that. So, you just anywhere, a lot of those areas that you can just get to it and get the information, download the flyer. It's on our website under schedules and events, and $25 in 2 full days. It's all online, and you get to pick up all these different magnificent speakers and singers and listen. And it's titled A New Cycle of Awakening, How to Thrive in These Transitioning Times and Reach New Levels of Growth, Expression, and Abundance. And like I said, Michael will be speaking on January the 8th at 3. That's actually going to be a pretty busy day for us because we have the Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing workshop that morning, and then the Coptic that afternoon. So anyway,
lots happening.
So participate.
Good.
Yeah, lots and lots going on. And Michael and I both are on the uphill side, I think, of this COVID. Still not 100%, but we're getting there.
moving in the right direction. Feeling much better. So thank you, everybody, for the space you hold. And I came across this morning, what's on my mind for today, was I came across a quote from Carl Jung that just put me in mind of so many things we've been doing and why having the courage to do one's work is so important. You'll remember in the beginning of the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? I quote Thoreau, where he says, and let me just turn to the page here, most men lead lives of quiet desperation. Pardon me, the mass of men. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. From the desperate city, you go into the desperate country and have to console yourself with the bravery of minks and muskrats. In other words, kill things. A stereotyped but unconscious despair is concealed, even under what are called the games and amusements of mankind. To be awake is to be alive. I have never met a man who's quite awake. And Thoreau offers a solution, although unfortunately not many tools. The tools, at least the best set that I've found to date in all the looking I have done, back up what Thoreau offers as a solution, but gives the how-to. And it goes back 2,000 years ago to this man named Yeshua. So you hear Thoreau saying, and I'm quoting this from Roman numeral page XIX in the introduction to the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And what he offers is if you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams and endeavor to live the life you've imagined, you'll meet with success unexpected in common hours. You will pass an invisible boundary. If you build castles in the air, need not be lost. That is where they should be. Now, put a foundation under them. And the foundation required is the willingness to step in and do the work that's required. And you've heard me mention, and this just kind of ties it all together for me on just kind of with a new insight into our so-called modern culture that we think is so enlightened. So this goes back to, let's see, somewhere between 1651 and 1715, so 300 plus years ago. We hear Francois Fenelon, who was a Roman Catholic archbishop, and he's talking about, at a time when religion wasn't about dogma and doctrine, but was about doing your work. And he says this, as the light increases, we see ourselves to be worse than we thought. We're amazed at our former blindness as we see issuing forth from the depths of our hearts a whole swarm of shameful feelings like filthy reptiles crawling from a hidden cave. We never could have believed that we'd harbored such things as we stand aghast as we watch them gradually appear. And here he's addressing opening the unconscious mind. But while our faults diminish, the light by which we see them waxes brighter, and we're filled with horror. Bear in mind, for your comfort, they only perceive our malady when the cure begins. So as you start to open to the light and open to the healing process, you start to see what it is that needs to be healed. Otherwise, it remains under the barrier, and it's what creates that condition that Thoreau was talking about of lives of quiet desperation. So the article that I ran into this morning is speaking about the state of America today, and it's referring to politics, but I'm not interested in getting into the political aspect. I'm looking at the spiritual psychology of what Carl Jung, he's a Swiss psychoanalyst, psychiatrist, and here's what he wrote. The demise of society will not be a physical threat, but instead mass delusion, a collective psychosis of sorts. Jung noted that, quote-unquote, the wolf inside the man was far more a threat to human existence than external forces. When mental forces become so toxic as to harm our overall well-being on an individual and collective basis, we have a collective psychic epidemic. And Jung himself said that modern society, and particularly American society, was prone to collapse due to what he called a pandemic of delusional ideas. Greater than all physical dangers are the tremendous effects of delusional ideas, which are yet denied all reality by our world-blinded consciousness. Our much vaunted reason and our boundlessly overestimated will are sometimes utterly powerless in the face of unreal thoughts. Anything new, he says, should always be questioned and tested with caution, for it may very easily turn out to be only a new disease. That is why true progress is impossible without mature judgment. The man or woman who is unconscious of the historical context and lets slip his link with the past is in constant danger of succumbing to the crazies and delusions engendered by all novelties. And so this writer was proposing that that time that Jung was talking about had come. And it's nothing more than another expression of those who choose to remain unconscious of what's going on inside of themselves, to believe only what the surface mind tells them about how, of course, everything is everybody else's fault. And all you have to do is instruct your mind to tell you a lie, and your mind will lie to you, and it will construct all kinds of pictures that will show you that the problem that is creating your pain or your disturbance or your upset or the conflict in your relationships is outside of you. It's all somebody else's fault, and it's all a lie. I can go back to Yeshua 2,000 years ago. He says, or the scriptures there say, take care of the heart, for out of it are the issues in life. Now, if you look at one political party, they'll tell you that the issues in life are the other political party, each one pointing fingers and nobody taking responsibility, and each one living in fantastical realities that have nothing to do with the truth, but so diametrically opposed that they're ready to go to war with each other. And here we are, human beings, sharing a human experience, and the human experience we are blinded to by those unresolved conflicts that we carry around inside of ourselves. That Fenelon was talking about, that all of a sudden they start to become visible, and we're horrified that that could possibly have been within us. And guess what? It is. It is because we've raised up a culture without the tools to deal with their lives. So 2,000 years ago, Yeshua was with a particular group of people that the dozen or so disciples were well acquainted with, and the others who hanging in at that time. And when Yeshua gave them specific instructions about what they needed to do, and that was they needed to learn to live as the active presence of love. They needed to give up their rage and their fear and their guilt and their terror and their trauma and their drama and their hatred and their vengeance. Half of his audience turned away, left, and said, too hard a saying. Half of his disciples quit on the spot. Too hard a saying. And my take is that half went off and made up an easy theology that said, well, you just call on a magic name and then see everything's handled. If you go back to Yeshua 2,000 years ago, he doesn't say, just call on my magic name and I'll take care of it all for you. He said, there's a work to be done. But when we raise a culture up with a fantasy that somebody else is going to take care of all of our psychological needs and desires and unresolved conflicts, then we live in this fantasy that leads to exactly what we're experiencing in our culture today. We need to raise up a mature group of people who understand the dynamics inside of themselves and have the tools with which to resolve those dynamics. The core tool, which was given 2,000 years ago, and the culture turned exactly backward, core tool that he taught today, people call forgiveness. And it goes like this. You did something really terrible that caused all this pain inside of me. Of course, I have no responsibility for my pain. There's the immature, childish mind, always blaming everybody else. Have you got somebody that you actually believe right now, if they changed, your life would be better? As though they're the cause of what's going on inside of you? If you do, then you're telling yourself a lie. You need to move into a mature adult mind that says, oh, I'm in pain. I wonder what thought disorders are moving in me that I need to forgive. And then forgiveness becomes the tool with which you go inside yourself and remove the hostility, the fear, the rage, the guilt, the grief, the drama, and the trauma, so that you get to live as a human being. Now, what I've just said in the last 5 minutes, most people would say, too hard a saying, Michael. But we're here with fully matured instructions and tools to support each person in doing that piece of work, changing the unconscious dynamics, changing the family dynamics, and returning to a sane world and a sane life. And my offering is that an insane mind is a mind that is functioning without active present love operating in it. And all you have to do is tune in to any news station anytime, and you'll hear about, and it doesn't matter which side of the argument you're on. It doesn't matter whether you're whatever all the labels are that different political factions have been given. And so it doesn't matter what your labels are. Each person needs to grow to adulthood, take responsibility for their own unconscious conflicts, for their own thought disorders, learn how forgiveness actually works, and remove the unconscious content that Carl Jung said was more dangerous to society than any physical threat. His words go back many years, and it was so prophetic. So moving into a place where there is the willingness to look, and, you know, as Fenelon was talking about, we're aghast when we start to see what's in there. Oh, my God, that couldn't possibly be in me. Yes, it is. You know, we've got to stop lying to ourselves. I don't care how modern and sophisticated you appear to be. Unless you come from a long family line of people who have understood and done their work, you're just as insane as the next person. When the stress is up and the chips are down, notice your mind turns to hostility and fear rather than love. Notice your mind's got judgments about those other people and punishments you would pronounce upon them. You become judge and jury, and they're the problem. And you better run away from them because it might be dangerous to be around them who are the problem, all the while denying your own unconscious dynamics. Each and every one of us carries a power person dynamic. That power person dynamic was installed in our minds when three things occurred. And there may be many examples of this in each person's mind. The three things that occur to install the power person dynamic are: one, you were under the care and control of someone who had more power over your life than you did. Two, that person was not functioning out of love, was not functioning as love. And three, you perceived it as survival. When that happens, the energy field of the object of that situation opens wide, just like a sponge, and every energetic dynamic, if there's rage or terrorism or hate or fear or whatever going on in the environment in those moments, every energy pattern is just sucked into the energy field of that individual, into the carbon-based memory. And if it's a generational pattern, it goes in at deeper and deeper and deeper levels because it's been going on for and being replicated for so many generations. Ultimately, what we each need to do is to grow to understand how our own mind produces the world called perception. And when the stress is up and the chips are down, no matter how wonderful we want to be, the power person dynamic is going to take over And you'll be forced to do exactly what your power person did to you that you hated the most, and you'll do it against your own will and choice. And after you do, you'll say, I'll never do that again. But if you never go in and clean it up in yourself, the next time the stress is up and the chips are down, you'll do it again. This is a dilemma that's been going on planet Earth for thousands of years. It's time for us to establish a mechanism that supports people on a global scale in understanding who they are and how their own minds and bodies work, how the perceptual system in each person's mind works, and how to get it on track, the principles by which it operates. Back a week or so ago, Mark and I did a conversation about the Beatitudes from the Aramaic, and it is a clear, concise, simple set of instructions on here's how you get your mind to function as a human mind. And until you have a set of guidelines for doing that, things are kind of willy-nilly. Well, one day I'm happy, and the next day I'm enraged, the next day I'm kind of okay, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And it's crazy-making. When one lives in a state of denial, remember our definition of denial is when I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of something moving inside of me. When I'm in denial, in order to believe the lie that something out there is the cause, I have to hide or dissociate from what the real cause is. And now I've created an unnatural condition for a human being. I've created an unconscious mind. Now what I hold to be true unconsciously will be constructed by my mind as the fact, the perceptual construct that is the fact of what's happening outside of me. But it will always and only reflect what's happening inside of me. And until I have a way, and to me this is such a genius piece of information that Yeshua gave us 2,000 years ago. When I have a way to systematically, consistently, and persistently collapse my mind's lies, collapse the perceptual constructs that have me believing everybody else is the problem. When I consistently, persistently apply that tool, then I start to open what was called the veil of the temple. The veil of the temple, as many religionists would translate it, is not a purple curtain in a church. The veil of the temple is the barrier between the subconscious and unconscious mind in your own temple, your own body. And until you start to willingly, consistently, persistently open that barrier and start to get brave enough to put a light in there and really start to look at the dynamics, then your perceptual world is going to be crazy making off the wall. So, the reason we're here is to establish the presence of that teaching in a way that anybody can take it and make it workable and understandable. There's no religion engaged in it or involved. The man who delivered these tools to the earth 2,000 years ago was not a religious figure. He was a physiologist, a psychologist, a geneticist, and a physiologist. He knew exactly how the world worked. But hey, if you turn him into a theologian, you can get people fighting wars over religions. Yeah, that's exactly what the unconscious wants to do, is find somebody to destroy for what's going on inside of itself. And we're here to support people opening up and recognizing the only thing to fight about is the unresolved content of our own mind. And when we give up those thought disorders, then we create a space for true human life, the true active presence of love that we are, to show up in our own physiology and our own relationships, in our own finances, in our own jobs and creations in the world. And the whole game changes. So we're here to support the changing of the game. And if you want to support us doing that, great. Take the tools, put them to work. As you said, the app is there. She just added a whole new section to it. It's just becoming so profoundly powerful. You can now go and listen to the meditation, Wellness to Stillness, free. It's normally a product you have to buy. It's in the app. There's a link to it. Worksheets are there. We were going over it this morning, and it just links to so many things and so much. It's like being established as here's a go-to place that you can send anybody. They can download the book for free and copy it or read it. And, the tools are all there, and all you do is go to your app store and type in the words HeartLand, HeartLand, Aramaic, Aramaic, Forgiveness. You'll be looking at the world's only forgiveness app. Generously, lovingly, and with a great deal of effort created by Jeanie. Thank you for all the early mornings. Our technical crew is in India, so 5 o'clock in the morning I hear click, click, click on the phone, and there's Jeanie on the phone with somebody in India who's doing the technical end of creating this app. So I'm going to move into the, unless you've got a hand up, Jeanie, move into the reading for today. Have you got a hand up and phones or anything happening in the chat room? Okay, well then let's go to... Quiet. All right, let's go to the bottom of page 166. We're up to step 4 in chapter 24 of the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? So we're into the worksheet process, and we've gone through laying out the challenging situation, what the details are of how I feel and what's going on, and we're moving in the direction of confirming that I'm willing to do something different. So step 4, if you're following us, we're on the bottom of page 166, is the act of acknowledging how you want to live. It's also important to fill the void that is left whenever you release something. Recall we spoke about the power of words. When word phrases show up with ease in our speech, it tends to be more natural to create those circumstances. It's interesting, if you go to the Aramaic language, the word that has been translated as manifest, you're going to manifest something. That word actually is obvious. When the energetic patterns in your mind say, of course, this is the way it works, then that's how it's going to work for you. And so to hold a mass of data that says this is obvious means that you're about creating that result. So the person who uses angry words will tend up to easily find circumstances about which to be angry. The person who regularly uses peaceful speech will find peace comes easily. Our words reflect the realities contained in our minds and what we are attracting into our lives. So step 4 is I am willing to live peacefully. And it's like, okay, so we're making a choice to live peacefully, to be happy, and to go through the symptoms of healing. I recall what you said earlier about the symptoms of healing, Richard says, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and those symptoms are on page 135 and 136 in the book. I'm willing to do what it takes to heal it. It seems bizarre that I used to search for trouble purposely. I consciously or maybe unconsciously went looking for it. When I think about the language I used to describe myself, women, the body, and intimate interaction, it's amazing I held a relationship together for even a week. I had no verbal respect for anything. Word patterns are structured into our minds at an early age. Becoming conscious of taking charge and changing those patterns takes intelligence and commitment. A decent, intimate relationship is impossible if the words we use to describe ourselves, the body, the opposite sex, our relationships result in degrading feelings. In the Aramaic scriptures, it was said that he who could rule his tongue was mightier than he who could take a city. That's a lot of power. But you watch how people's automatic speech patterns take over. I think about this person. I can remember, processing some of this stuff in the early days of doing this work. And I can remember just being amazed. It's like, why as a kid was I ever even exposed to thoughts and words that were as vulgar as I was exposed to? Like, well, what is that? Why? How does that even happen? Why would anybody take a tender, sweet being called a child, made of the presence of love, and introduce them to the ugliness of the words that, in our culture, just revolve around simple physical intimacy? Why would anybody expose a child to such a thing? Well, there's only one reason. It's what's in their minds. So it's these early word games that we get played around us. And the power of taking charge of your words is a major piece of work to do, especially when you're under stress. Because what happens is, under stress, we'll tend to go into the automatic decision system, and whatever words we heard the power person use in those similar circumstances are the words that we'll use. Even if we say we hated it when we heard our power person use those words, it becomes the pattern in the mind. There's a thing that we study in the Laws of Living Intensive. It's called regulatory speech. And regulatory speech is a speech that runs physiology, cellular chemistry. It runs our emotions. It runs our creative process. It is the root of the energy fields that set up what ends up showing up as our lives. It's called regulatory speech. And the way that regulatory speech occurs is we first hear it. We hear somebody say it, and then we say it. We start to use that speech. Then we utilize that speech silently to ourselves, and at that stage, if that speech is experienced to reduce stress, then that will move into what we call the regulatory speech system, and it'll run your life. Along about the age of 13, a child's regulatory speech system pretty much solidifies. Until someone becomes very cognizant and very conscious and very willing, it's pretty much solidified and will run that person's whole adult life. We're looking to change that dynamic. We're looking to have that understanding become the cultural norm, and that the speech that's used around child, especially toward and about the child, toward and about self, is loving, gentle, respectful speech. When the child learns that, and that becomes what solidifies in their speech system. We hear a culture that tells us all about, you have to send those kids to school to socialize them. Well, way back, and I don't have the statistics in front of me, but back in the 50s, the Los Angeles Education Department, in concert with the Los Angeles Police Department, put out a bulletin that spoke about the challenges in the 1950s in the classrooms and schools. And the challenges were things like chewing gum in class and getting out of line at recess and talking in the classroom. Really terrible things. And then by the 1980s, when this was put out, the challenges in those same schools, none of those, chewing gum, paper throwing in the hall. No, it was rape, it was murder, it was drugs. What happened? The speech was changed. Think twice before you subject anyone under the age of 13 to speech that is not in alignment with where you want that child to be able to naturally live. So Richard admitted his language had been pretty raunchy for most of his life. He was identified with the idea that his thoughts caused his feelings, was identifying with finally that his thoughts caused his feelings, and decided he was ready to feel better about life, his body, and those with whom he had relationships. He liked the idea of maintaining a condition of love in his mind, and took a break to do the exercise of restoring the space of love from page 171 and 172. He made a commitment to continue that exercise as a daily practice in his life. And we're asking you, or inviting you, suggesting to you that if you want the benefits that this work offers, then you're going to have to do something different than what the culture has taught you. And many people, see, you mean I actually need to change? Oh, come on now. The problem isn't me, it's them. They're the ones that need to change. There's a cute cartoon that came across my Facebook page a while back, and there's somebody who's obviously a politician standing up on the stump giving a speech, and he's all rah, rah, and how many want things to change? And everybody's throwing their hats in the air and celebrating, yay, loud, yay. And the next frame, the same politician standing in front of the same crowd says, and how many want to change? Everybody's head was hanging down. There wasn't a yay in the crowd. Oh, yeah, it's easy to want everybody else to change, but to actually take charge of the patterns in your energy system, to put the tools to work, is a monumental task. But it can be done. And there are many who will subvert what needs to be done to make the changes. And each person is going to have to find their way to the clarity that is available and possible through the use of the tools. So we're here to assist and be that guidepost. And how can we support you? Miss Jeanie, do we have anybody out there in the phone queue with a hand up? If you're out there in listener land, our call-in number, if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you in our control panel, call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you dial that number, you'll be listening to the show. And then, if you have a question or a comment, something to share with us, if you push 1, that raises a hand in the control panel, and we will be having a conversation with you. And we would love to support you. We would love to have a conversation with you. Any questions on any of the tools, anything we can support you with, that's what we're here to do. So, Ms. Jeanie?
We do have 2 hands up, but I'm not sure if Magda's has gone up a second time or if she's already talked to Dr. Tim. Her hand was up first, so I'm going to click her on.
Well,
Magda,
let's say hello to
you're on.
The young lady. Hey, Magdalena.
Hi there. I'm just listening. I'm having a good time listening.
All right.
Okay. And I'm so glad that you're both feeling better, and I urge both of you, especially Jeanie, to take care.
Yeah,
we are resting and taking care of ourselves. We've actually established a new tradition that last thing at night, I go down and peel an apple, and we eat an apple as a snack. And first thing in the morning, before we get out of bed, I have to get out, I go down and peel an apple, and we eat an apple in the morning. And it's like just a nice energy to start and finish our day with. And we were talking about this morning that's what we're going to do from now on. So it's part of taking care of ourselves.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that is great.
Cool. And we both have discovered some pluses that have come out of this, that it's like an upgrade in a way. I've been having neck issues for a long time and been using like this electric stimulator and all this on my neck, and my neck is probably 90 to 95% better. And so I don't know how the COVID cleared that one out, but and then Michael's had some things that have cleared up for him as well. So besides getting through the COVID. Yeah. So the biggest thing right now is hold the space for Dad, because Dad's oxygen levels dropped, and it's like, and I don't know, I said part of it may be because we've stayed separate from him as much as we could. We wear masks and go down and fixing meals and make sure he's okay, but we're not really stimulating him like we had been doing, and it's almost like he's quit. And so we've really had a struggle with him yesterday evening and today, just trying to get him to breathe and sit up straight. the nurses and all are coming this afternoon. And so holding a space for him.
I definitely will.
Yeah, this whole COVID experience for me it's having for me an interesting impact. It's like another level of motivation to take care of myself and do my work. And last night I went to sleep, still point breathing, and probably 3 or 4 times through the night, came up to conscious awareness and went back down. And the whole night was one continuous still point breathing process. So this morning when I woke up, I was feeling like 100% better.
Wonderful.
So it's really been motivation for an upgrade.
Good. All right. Good to hear that. Well, I will definitely keep your dad in love and light and send the angels of healing. And I'm going to go back to my kitchen work while I listen, okay?
Enjoy.
Okay. And, Michael, you need to move your microphone. You're
sweetie.
Darth Vader breathing. Yeah. All right. Next caller is Roma, 808. You're on the air. Hey.
Hi.
Hey there, young lady. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's so good to hear both of you.
Good to be heard.
I wanted to share with you that I woke up a couple of nights ago and was just lying in bed. I couldn't go back to sleep. And I just decided to do some mind shifters. And I started with the first one, the healing into aliveness, and ended up going through all the 13 of the first one. And there were some that triggered like a negative response, so I wrote those. And then there were some that didn't. So 7 of the 13 I ended up writing about. And when I eventually got tired and decided I'd go back to sleep, but I turned the light out and I lay there, and I was aware of being in a completely different state of mind. And let's see, what was it? I had the realization. I looked inside to see what was going on, and I could see that my heart was moving forward, and rather than contracting, going backwards. It's hard to describe.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's like, so that was pretty distinct and very, very beautiful thing to experience. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Sweet, that's powerful.
Most of my nature is fundamentally, I'm triple water sign, so my nature is fundamentally emotional, and I think that the main benefit that I've been getting from doing the worksheet all these years had to do with major emotional shifts on whatever I might have found myself going through emotionally that triggered me to pick up a worksheet. But This was really distinctively my mind. And so it was very interesting for me to see the distinction within me of my mind as opposed, or in contrast to my emotions. So that was an interesting thing. Yeah. So I just wanted to...
I was going to say, in the intensive, remember we talked about becoming the thinker apart from the thought, the feeler apart from the feelings, the actor apart from the actions, and it sounds like that's just becoming first nature for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was so beautiful to just be able to distinguish each thing in their differences from the others. So it was a very
nice
experience. Yeah. So thank you for.
Congratulations. That's what we need. That's what the culture needs so desperately, is people who can do that instead of just popping off with whatever's in their mind at any given moment. So nice work. That's what we need.
Okay.
I love what the Course says. Your healing will open the space for millions yet unborn. So that's awesome.
There we go. Okay, well, y'all keep on keeping on. I'm so glad to hear that you're experiencing COVID as an opportunity for healing. I mean, it's not surprising that that would be your natural inclination, but I just send you my love and my blessings, and to your father, too, Jeanie. And
Thank
we
you.
know that
We accept. Thank you.
for all of Okay. Aloha, everyone.
Cool. Aloha. All right, so we've got about over 13 minutes left. So if you're out there in listener land, we've got time for plenty of conversation. Push one. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about what's on your mind, how your practice is going, what little refinements there are. By the way, one of the things that you'll find that's new in the updated version of the HeartLand Aramaic Forgiveness app is that on each page there's a button you can click and you can ask any question that you've got. That question will be sent to Jeanie. She'll bring it forward on the radio show, and we'll share the answer and email you back with when the question was answered, so you can go back to the archives and pick that up if you don't have to be on the show live. So, and something we'd really appreciate is if you turn other people onto the app. You know, we're not out there with a big advertising budget spending millions to make the culture aware of it. But, you know, each one teach one. If each person introduced one other person, it wouldn't take long for millions to be using the tools and getting that shift that I think Carl Jung was hoping to inspire in people by letting them know just how this collective unconscious works and how we can clean it up. So if there's any way we can support you, push one. If you're in the app, click that Ask a Question, and bingo, your question will be in our hands. And the functionality that Jeanie's added to the app is just awesome, like next level stuff. And it's an easy way to find everything on our website. You know, there's a link there that says, when you open it up, it says more. And if you click that, it takes you right into, you can just go right down the list of, you know, all the important pages on the website are just listed right there. You can just click, 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 and it's right there. So what's on your mind? How can we support you? Call-in number is 563-999-3581. Let's have a conversation.
With no hands up, I just want to offer, and a couple of times the gentleman in India that's helping me has asked questions. You know, it's sort of like a fish in water. I think sometimes that the information is so close to you that you can't see the answer. And he'll ask questions, and it's like, okay, you did that in the app, so, you know, here's how you do it. Here's how you listen to the show. And but, you know, while we mentioned that I get up at like 5 a.m. to be able to talk to them while they're still at work, I also would like to acknowledge that this gentleman also will work at home. He'll be at home at 11 to 12 o'clock at night, his time, working with me when it's middle of the day for my time. So he's making sacrifices on his end too, and I appreciate, you know, the camaraderie that we have developed. To even to the point that he sent me pictures of his little girl's first birthday this morning. So
sweet pictures.
I just think it's real sweet. Yeah.
Face. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Global
so
community.
I'm glad that we have someone that connected to work with to do this work with, and hopefully he's getting part of it too.
For sure. So what's on your mind? How can we support you? We've got about 10 minutes left.
We got a hand up, and I believe it's
great. Let's say hello.
Miss Susan Bingham. Hi.
Hi, guys. I'm so glad you're so much better. Wow.
So are we.
Great. I know. And you pushed right through it. Dr. Tim gave a little section of his show today on how we don't tend to let ourselves rest. And I don't know whether it was a little comment in your direction or something, because you're guilty. But you managed to, you know, Jeannie sacked out right in the middle. I love Zoom. You can wear your pajamas. You can go to bed during Zoom, and you're still on there. That was a new thing. But anyway, Magda, one of the great things yesterday is Magda texted me the link to, and I forget his name now, a doctor who himself has insomnia, and so he's done a lot of research on insomnia, and he says there are lots of supplements and there are lots of medications and there are lots of things out there, but the best thing is if you get your glasses off and you open the window or go outside when the sun is rising, you set your circadian rhythm. There's something about that light, and it isn't the fact that you're seeing it. It's that the light is getting into your brain somehow. You could be blind, but you go out there and look. Yep. Yeah, he was talking about that. You know that more than I do. So,
and we live in a culture that does everything it can do to destroy the pineal gland, the one light-sensitive gland in the body. You know, the chlorine in the water, the fluoride. I mean, most drugs have got fluoride in them, and they're all pineal killers.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, geez.
Antidepressants and such, fluorine is a part of them, and that's they're called halides, and they're attracted to the pineal, and they literally calcify the pineal so it can't work properly. And it's just a manifestation to me of our culture's denial.
Yeah. Boy, is that scary. You know, it's hard to find a tube of toothpaste without fluoride in it. So
yes, that's true.
So, but the other thing he said was, we think about the sunrise. He said, when the sun sinks and the light changes, get out there again. He said, because we register that as an invitation to start shutting down for the night. And it's the same kind of thing. I'd never heard that before. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm not sure how well this works because I'm out when the sun's rising anyway for a long walk, and I'm out again with Tim Bingham when the sun is going down, and I still don't sleep all that well. So we're still working on it, but I just love knowing that's a big thing you can do.
Very powerful. Yeah, right on track. And
are you stopping and facing it, though?
Oh, yeah. In fact, he said it's not just east. And he said, watch out, when the sun's coming up. You don't want to stare at it and ruin your retina. But he said the light in the sky, the whole eastern light that's coming up, he said you don't have to be out there that long to get that benefit. And he didn't say how long that was. But and the same thing at night, just stop everything, go out and join up with that big event of the sun going down, and take that in. And of course, and he does talk about artificial light. Don't put on overhead lights. If you have to have light on, have them dim and low to the floor. And there are certain kinds of light that are better than others. I think he said blue light's good. And I know there are filters you can put on things or glasses you can wear to do that. But, it's all that stuff. And Jeanie, here you are up talking to India at 5 a.m. Well, that's a kind of light, I suppose. You're awfully good to do that. That's amazing and exciting about that app.
And I will say that since I have had COVID, that I have averaged over 8 hours of sleep a night, and I haven't done that in years.
Oh, yeah.
So the physical fatigue is forcing me to sleep, I guess.
Yeah, my friend Mira said the same thing. She's sort of an insomniac too. Cancel both those saying that because I'm saying I'm sleeping better and better. But she also had tremendous fatigue and slept a great deal and thought it might have reset herself. Now she's thinking it didn't. There's something else that needs correcting, but she did love being able to sleep that much, and I'm glad you're sleeping a lot. That's great. And Michael,
one of the
probably
things
are
about
too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Blue light is not healthy for the brain or for the eyes. In fact, it's damaging.
Oh, good.
Your phone, when you're looking at your phone screen and it's really bright and white looking, that's actually blue light you're looking at, and it's damaging to the eye. If you look in your settings, there's a setting for a blue light filter to cut that off. The screen is not nearly as appealing with the blue light filter on, but it's much healthier for the eyes and for the brain.
Okay, I'm fiddling with my phone. I want to find that right away, Michael. Where do I look?
Well, do you have a search feature? Yeah.
What?
It'll say blue light filter. If you've got a
Is it
search
under
feature, a finder,
Yeah.
you're on an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
I'm not very familiar with the iPhone, but I think there's a finder button, like a search button somewhere. If you put that in and put in blue light filter, it'll probably show it to you and you can turn it on. I know I remember when I first learned of that and started to use it back a few years ago, the screen wasn't nearly as appealing to me, but as you read more and see what that blue light does to the eye, I mean, it's actually damaging to the retina and such. You don't want that. And the same, like we switched over a lot of our light bulbs in the house to LED lights, but LED lights put out blue light. And so the ones, like, for instance, in the kitchen or where Arya plays in her play yard, there's some lights across the room from there, and we took those out and put in regular lights so that she's not looking at blue lights all the time.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
LEDs.
Well, I'll mess around with it. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I found brightness, so I'll take the brightness down. And you can do a dark mode, which is quite grisly, but maybe it's healthier.
Yeah, it reverses the light to darken the light.
Yeah.
But there should be a blue light filter there that you can click on in the display, and it'll dim the screen somewhat. You can still keep the screen bright enough to see, but it dims that bright blue light that is so offensive to the brain and the eye.
Okay. Well,
cool. Well,
anyway, good to know.
Anything else exciting happening in your world?
Well, it's just amazing how you're like this walking encyclopedia for facts. You know, I'll ask you a question, and you'll know the answer to it and a lot of things all around the edges. So it's just fun. Yeah.
Good, we
things
get
are
to
going
play
on.
together.
Yeah. Jacob is better and better and better. And so that's just
sweet.
So we hear from him almost every day, and he's doing his work. He even posts some stuff on Facebook sometimes about how, you know, he talks about forgiveness and stuff. It's not in the terminology that he's getting the messages anyway and correcting himself.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's good. And you know what this guy said about melatonin? You might know this, Michael, too. He says melatonin will help you get to sleep, but it won't keep you there. And it inhibits young children from going properly through puberty. It delays puberty. And this kid, Jacob, took melatonin all through his childhood to sleep. So he said, don't panic if you gave that to your kid, but it's just known to do that. So anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot we don't know yet.
No,
that's a new piece of information. The inhibiting of puberty. That's a new piece of information for me.
Yeah, slowing it down.
That's interesting. I have to do some reading.
Yeah, I haven't told his mother that. I didn't even want to tell her. But of all the three of her boys, he's the one who, you could say he's the one that had it slowed down, although you'd never think of it. But it just seems as if it might have done that to him. And maybe that screwed a lot of other things up. Who knows? Anyway,
hold the space that as he attunes and moves into his healing space, that everything on every level starts to reorganize around the highest and best for him. So holding space for that.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
All right, everybody,
I know.
have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world, and blessings.